Welcome back to Enshrouded. Today I'm going to be building a barn for all of my animals as part of my forest village project. And for those of you who are completely new to the channel and have not followed along with this project, we are right over here on the map in Blackmire Forest, right below the ancient spire here. And for those of you that have been following along with this project, I'm going to go over this grid system that I've laid out so that you can also follow along and replicate the exact placement of where I'm going to be doing my barn. But if you're completely new to the channel and you just want to replicate this barn somewhere else in your world, then you can completely ignore this step. But without further ado, let me explain all this stone and grid system so that if you have been following along, you can place the barn in the exact spot that I have, assuming that the map stays the same if you're watching this in the future. Sometimes they do change the map around, but so far this area has remained the same. So basically, starting from the door into the tree, which is 4 of these big ceiling blueprints away from the edge of the staircase here, we go out by another ceiling blueprint, and there's 2 and 3, and then across. So there it comes out by 4, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go up by a big foundation blueprint, up by another one, and up by another one, and then we go across by another 1, 2, and then 3, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes down by 1, 2, and 3. And that marks the corner of the barn platform. And this little platform here is the same height as the entrance into the tree. And with that, the size of this platform here, I've just went ahead and laid it out with the Vuka Temple Stones block. And it's basically 7 of these blueprints deep, and then 5 of the blueprints wide. So a 7 by 5 rectangle right over here. And that's going to be my barn. I'm going to have the entrance right over here, some stables for animals on either sides, and a nice loft for some hay and animal food. And then I'm hoping to do some little grazing pastures and fields with the rest of this space later on. But with that said, sit back, get cozy, and let's get started. I'm going to start by placing these columns using the well blocks, and I'm going to place them on the outer corners of the center section here. So basically 3 of these ceiling blueprints wide, ignoring the outer rows. And I'm going to make them each basically 1.5 of these columns tall. And with snapping on, it'll give you that halfway snapping point there. I'm going to do that on both ends. And this is kind of going to replicate the sort of interior of the barn. And these exterior portions will sort of be like little overhang with some entrances and things for the animals to come into. So something just like that. That looks pretty good. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And then I'm going to use my new favorite block, one of my favorites in the game with the new update, Souls of the Frozen Frontier. We get this conifer wood block. And I'm going to turn snapping off. And I want to basically phase it into the columns by 2 blocks and back from the front by 1 block. So let's see, down here. And something like that, and then 1 and 2, oops, right there, that'll work. And this is going to be my doorway. I'm going to use the carved wooden double door here, and I'll just place that right there. That looks good. Maybe one more out to be even with the walls there. There we go, perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to use my palm wood block because I'm trying to stay consistent in my block palette and give a similar look to my treehouse. That was kind of the test for the forest village, and I really liked how it turned out and the blocks that I used. So the only new block in this build will be this conifer wood block, just because it looks so much like barn siding, and I absolutely love it. So, and it matches the other blocks really nicely. It matches the color of the palm wood block a lot. So palm wood block is going to be used for the trim in this build, so that's why I'm just using it for some trim around the door. And then I'm also going to continue the sides up. I'm going to use this little door frame blueprint out of the Vuka Temple Stones. And I want to, let's see here, I want to kind of sit it down in and just continue it up the sides just like that. Sort of gives a little bit of like a foundation that comes up the sides so that the bottom of the barn won't rot. You know, you see some barns and houses that have a little bit of brick that comes up the sides there. So I think that looks really good. And then for the backside here, it's mostly just going to be solid because maybe I'll put like a little window up top. But I'll take this blueprint and basically do the same thing, just sit it down in like that. And then we can, let's see, can I turn snapping on? Yeah, I can. Perfect. So let's just do that. There we go. And then take my barn siding and turn snapping off here. And we can go back it in by 2. And let's see here. Kind of just continue it all the way across. Just like that. And then on the very back side here, there's a little bit of a gap in between sort of the terrain and some of that. I may fill that gap with actually some stones, almost creating a little barrier wall along the side here. But we'll do that touch up when we focus more on the exterior. So those are the 2 ends of my barn. And now I'm going to continue them up just a little bit higher. And I'm almost thinking this top section can maybe come out. Let's see, maybe with this blueprint piece? Yeah, that looks good. So let's see here, maybe something like this. And then come across like that. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. And then that'll sort of continue up in the loft. And maybe I could even put some little windows here and everything. But that makes the door trim look kind of cool. I like how the textures mesh together. And I think I'll do the same thing, actually, on the back side right over here. Again, just kind of making it solid there. Oops. There we go. Perfect. And continuing that all the way across. All right. So that's going to be the main height of my barn before we do sort of the big roof. And same thing with the forest, with the treehouse that I did. I'm going to try to replicate a mossy roof on the barn and everything. But first, we're going to build the skeletal structure of the barn itself. Now that we have both of the ends done here, I'm going to actually start creating the floor for the loft of the barn. That'll give me a good snapping point for a lot of other things. So basically just sitting it above what we already have there, right on top of the column and lining the corner up there. And then I can turn snapping on and just complete the entire rest of the floor here, all the way across to the other side. And there we go. That looks nice. Perfect. And then another thing I wanted to do is trim out the top. This will kind of be the line for the loft and roof. I'm going to turn snapping off, and I'm going to use the palmwood block. I can, yeah, I think I'll have to do snapping off for most of this. And I'm just going to kind of go around the perimeter of the entire floor there. Let's see. Use this, get this blueprint a little farther from me. There we go. Perfect. All right, and then basically just overlapping everything by 1 block, just like so. Then rotate it, line it up, and go all the way down the sides. And I'm not really worrying about where I snap it. I just want to coat the entire perimeter of that floor, overlapping the foundation by 1 block there, all the way around. And there we go, something that looks just like that. I think that's looking really good. So it's completely open down here. There's a ton of detail left down here, but we actually have a solid outline now to start working on the roof. And I think I want to actually start doing the roof before I work more on the lower portions, just so that I can get all of the proportions right, and that may actually influence some decisions that I decide to make on the lower half of the build. So let me get a roof outline, and then I'll kind of explain that to you guys, and we'll replicate the mossy roof from the treehouse. Okay, I've gone ahead and done a little roof outline here, just with the rough stone block, just to get an idea of how it's going to look. And let me get up there and explain it to you, but I think that profile looks nice. So basically, we just come, we have a little one that juts out here, and then we come up by 2, up by 2, up by 2, up by 2, and then continue the rest of the way to the point there with a 45-degree slope on both sides. So that's going to be my outline for the roof. I think that looks really nice. I think it'll look really great when it's covered in moss as well. So if you've watched my treehouse, you know the drill. Now is the tedious part, but we have to basically continue on this outline here, and I'm using the tarred shingle roof block. And then this part here we can use the blueprint for, actually, because it's a 45 degree, but this whole bottom section will be placing basically block by block all the way across to the other side with the tarred shingle roof block. So I will get back to you all once that's done. And here we go. This is what it looks like now. I've continued the roof all the way back, and I think that's looking pretty good. And I've overlapped it here by 1 block out on each side. And I should also mention that I have turned voxel detail models off, just so that the other little roof textures don't confuse me, and all I'm looking at is just the blocks themselves. And another thing I want to do is do sort of a little point that comes out on the roof. Just 4 blocks out, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1. Just like that. And then I can destroy my little scaffolding here. Yeah, that looks really nice. So pretty much just a classic look. I will do the same thing on the other side here, sort of creating a little point that comes out. Again, you can see the 1 block overlap right there. Comes out 1 block from the side. And then once that's done, I'm going to take my tarred shingled roof block and fill in the entire face of the roof here. Basically all the way across, similar to how I did the face of the roof on the treehouse. And here's how it looks now. I have left a 6 block wide by 8 block tall opening there, right in the middle of each end of the roof. And I'll show you what I'll do with that a little later. I'm thinking kind of maybe a little platform, sort of how they have a little pulley to bring the hay and everything up into the loft. So that's why I left the opening there. I'm not sure the exact size yet, but that looks pretty good for now. And before I cover the roof with moss, I'm going to work on these little side jutouts here for the stables and everything, just to get all that done and then cover everything at once with the moss. So to do that, I'm going to first take the palmwood block, and I'm going to basically be making pillars at each corner that are essentially 8 blocks tall, and then I'll destroy the top block, making them 7 blocks tall. So I'll do that same thing at all 4 corners of the build. And once that's done, I'm going to take this door frame piece and turn snapping off here. And I'm going to put them all the way across, just on both sides. Basically just framing out 1 large opening, and we'll put little dividers and everything in it to sort of divide up the stables later on. But I'm just going to get all the things framed in order to do the roof for these little side jutouts, so that the animals can stay dry and happy. So I'll do that same thing on the other side here. And now that that's done, I'm going to take my roof block and we're going to sort of outline how these little tiny shallow roofs will come out here. I'm going to start just above right here, basically, where this threshold is. And I'm going to come out by 1, 2, 3, 4. And then over by 1, we can just destroy that block. And then 2 and 3 and 4. And then down here by 1 and 2. So that's how my little profile will look for the roofs. You'll notice these top 2 are 4 blocks, so I can just use the 2-meter roof blueprint for those. Let's see, the flat roof pieces right here. Basically just go all the way across with those. And then the bottom ones here, because they're just 2, I'll just do by hand until I'm all the way across to the other side. And it'll look something just like that. I really like how that's looking. I think it's nice to sort of have the shallow roof and then up steep and then in with the little point at the end and everything. It's going to look really good when it's all covered by the moss and flower soil and everything. It just really evens it out, and I think this game is just so perfect for foresty themed builds. It just has so many great building pieces and everything. But before I cover the roof fully, I am going to take my barn wood here. I'm just going to call it the barn wood, the conifer wood block. It looks kind of like the barn wood, that's why I'm using it here. And we're just going to take the little blueprint here and go all the way across to fill in these gaps. And now we can really get a sense of how it's looking on the inside here. I think we've got a lot of space. It definitely could go a little bigger, but I just don't have a ton of room to make a massive barn in the forest village here. And this should fit quite a bit, even if I have to tame some of the smaller animals and have a little place for their beds and things up in the loft. Between the loft and down here, we do have quite a bit of space, and I think that's looking pretty darn good. So now comes the very, very tedious part, and that is placing the moss and flower soil all over the entire roof. And I did not actually have the moss block when I did the treehouse, but now we have moss as a terrain material that can be found in the mountains. And I'm actually going to primarily be doing this out of moss now to officially call it a mossy roof. And then I might mix some flower soil in periodically just to sort of add to the texture. So yep, basically just placing the moss block by block to create a layer of moss over the entire roof going all the way down, basically bringing these rows back. I can also use blueprints when I'm able. I may, for this 45-degree section, use the steep ramp and then kind of go like that to cover the 45-degree section with moss and then just destroy the excess on the inside that's poking down through the roof. So basically just using blueprints when I can and covering the entire thing in moss and little bits of flower soil. So I might do some moss here, might do like a little bit of flower soil here dispersed in, just to add a little bit of interest there. And I'll get back with you all when that's done. It will take a while, so definitely have patience, but I do enjoy this. Just put some music on and do some building here. Well, that took quite a while, but I think my mossy roof is finally close to being done. I think it turned out quite nice. And let me know what you guys think of the darker moss combined with the lighter flower soil in some patches to kind of create that pattern for the mossy roof rather than just using the flower soil like I did in the treehouse. I think it adds some really nice variation and looks pretty cool. And the reason I really love doing mossy roofs or putting terrain over roof blocks is because it kind of smooths out the imperfections and makes the roof less blocky. And the biggest advantage to that is that it allows me to use some creative angles on the roof rather than just being limited to a 45-degree roof block blueprint. So I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. Allowed me to get a nice, tall, round barn roof. And I think it fits the forest village theme perfectly with the mossy roof there. And one more thing I wanted to do before I call the roof finished is to add a little weathervane on the top. So I've left a little hole right in the center of the roof. And I want to build that up with a little 2-meter blueprint here. Let's see, let me turn snapping off and place it. Oops, maybe one more back. Right there. That should be good. Yep, that covers up the little hole there. Now I'm going to cut out some little window areas here. So let's see, something like that. Destroy that so that a little bit of light could get down into the barn. I don't know, it won't be much, but little something. And I'm going to stack one more on top and continue these little window openings up by one more just to be 3 blocks tall rather than 2 blocks to fit the little windows. There we go. And I'll cut off 2 blocks off the top of this. Perfect. And I'm gonna fill it in with my little windows here. Just gonna use the little rustic window frame. There we go, something just like that. And then make myself some scaffolding because I keep sliding off the roof here. So you put a couple little pieces there to stand on. And then take my tarred shingle roof block and create a rim all the way around the top of what we have here. So just like that, and then I'll do this side over here. There we go, and this side, and then just touch it up right there. Perfect. And then I want to fill in the entire top with roof blocks. Something just like that. There we go, and then 4 more right in the center, and then 4 more again right on top of those. And that'll look, yeah, it'll look like that. I think that looks really great. Then I'm going to make the little needle that kind of sticks up on the top and spins around to tell the direction of the wind. And to do that, I'm going to destroy the very top layer with that blueprint. And then I'm going to get creative here. I'm going to use the sword and shield rack, the new weapon rack piece. and I'm going to sort of maybe rotate it at like a little 45-degree or something here, and then put it right there. I'm going to go back to my hammer and undo so that we bring back those blocks there. I don't know, I'm just sort of replicating like a little bird or a little cross or something up here. And in one of the weapon slots, I'm going to put Jasmina's axe, because maybe that looks like a little bronze phoenix or something like that. I don't know. Doesn't really make too much sense, but hey, those are the pieces I have right now in the game, and I think that's going to look really good. Let's take a look at what it looks like from down below. Yeah, that definitely is what I was going for. Just a little something in the middle of the roof there to add some detail. Now it's time to add a little hook and cable system for pulling some hay bales up into the loft here. Just a little bit of detail here on the front. So I'm going to take my roof block and one up from the top of the door opening. I'm going to come out by 4 blocks. Something just like that, I think. Yeah. And then I'm going to take the little pulley, which is a new piece that we can build with the latest update of the mountain biome. And I'll put it down right there. That looks kind of cool. And then I'm going to take a little grapple point just to make another easy way to get up here. And kind of center it right on the door opening there. Take my hammer and go to my ceiling blueprint and make it out of the barn wood here. We're gonna phase it back, and then it'll just come out by 1 block. Something like that. That looks good. I'll destroy this scaffolding. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then I'm gonna take my roof block again and put some little braces on the edges here. So let's see. Right like that, and then here, and basically 1 block back, and then put it on the face of the barn there. All right, let's take a look at that. There we go. That looks awesome. I know the little E right there covers it up a little bit, but I can turn off my my HUD. You can see the little platform there a little better. We can get up there ourselves nice and easy, and also sort of mimics a little pulley system to pull some hay bales up into the loft. I think that turned out pretty cool. Now I've decided that I want to fill in the ends of these long jutouts here. So I'm going to take the conifer wood block, and let's put that right in here. Just 1 block inset to sort of match the rest of the front of the barn. Take my little door frame piece and go down to the Vuka temple block. And let's see here. Let's kind of sit it down into the terrain a bit. Just like that, and then maybe from a lower angle. There we go. Same thing on this side. I think this will just clean it up a bit, give it a little more structure in the front rather than keeping those open, because I'll have the openings along the sides for the stables rather than on the front right there. And I see that on most barns as well. I think the fronts of these are often closed. So I think that looks kind of nice. And I'll decide where I want to put my windows a little bit later, if I decide to do windows, but kind of cozies it up a little bit. And then I also wanted to do a staircase into the loft. Technically, I don't need one because I have the grapple points up there, but I think just having a staircase just in case I need it, or I don't know if animals can get up and down it or whatever, then that would be nice to have. So I'm just doing that out of the refined wood block, and I kind of sat that back into the wall by 1 block. And I'm going to rotate this. Let's see. Just kind of come all the way down with it. Maybe put another landing platform. Let's see, right there. Oops. Sometimes the perspective of this game is a little bit tricky. Bring the blueprint a little closer to me. There we go, just like that. And then rotate and sit it back in just like so. That looks nice, and I will like trim it out with another block, make it look pretty nice there. Now, I guess the only thing left is to destroy the little top section here. So maybe starting right over that stair, we'll take out those 2 blocks and then continue destroying them so that we can get all the way up to the top level here. So let's see, I'm just like this and like that. Yeah, that's perfect. And now that lines up exactly with our opening right there for the landing for the stairs. And I could also just go ahead and take out this, this little section over here as well. There we go. Perfect. That looks quite nice. And I'll trim this out and everything later, but I think that is where I'm going to want my stairs to be. The next thing I'm going to do is to start dividing up and laying out my interior design here. So I've just used the palmwood block on the edges of my stairs to trim them out, make them look a little nicer. And I've laid out sort of a grid system of where I want my main poles, because I guess this is kind of designed based on like a classic pole barn. And I'm going to use the poles as supports for the roof and everything. Not that structural integrity is anything in this game, but it'll look nice. And they'll kind of divide up the little stalls for the animals here. So I'm going to explain how I laid these out. And then I'm actually going to continue them all the way up to the ceiling, just like that. But basically, in between this pillar and this wall, there is 10 blocks. And then another 10 blocks between this pillar and this pillar. And then 8 blocks, basically just one of these ceiling blueprints in between this pillar and this pillar for the center of the barn. And then we've got another 10 and another 10. So that's the spacing of them, and I've just put them, as you can see, right inside so that they'll kind of outline and go up right to the loft level right there. And then these ones are just placed right on the outsides of those. And that should be pretty good. I'll just continue those up to that little pillar there. This is gonna look so good. I'm really loving this layout. And I did a little bit of planning on where I was gonna put these pillars. You'll see in a second, because I was trying to figure out how to maximize the space for the animals, because the animal beds are actually quite large. We have the yak pillows, we have the just the generic animal beds for wolves and deer and all that stuff, rabbits and things. So now that those pillars are continued to the top, I'm actually going to go ahead and do some dividers in the rooms here. And for the dividers, I'm going to use the half-timbered block. I could use the conifer wood block, but I think the half-timbered block is going to be what I'm going for here. And I think it'll look pretty nice. So I'm going to just kind of offset it back from the pillar. I'm going to put it on that side. And then in the middle, I'm going to put it on either side, sort of toward the inside, just like that. And then on this one, I'm going to put it just like that. And then mirror the same thing on this side here. So one just like that. And then 2 kind of on the insides of this middle opening. And then right over here, let's see, 1 just like so. And this area in here might be like a little closet or something like that. I sort of blocked in a little doorway there because it's kind of underground there. But that should look kind of nice. I kind of like how the half-timbered block gives the contrast to the rest of the wood and everything. And I used a lot of the half-timbered block for interior walls on my treehouse build. So it'll kind of fit the theme, but I think it looks kind of nice. And the layout for these rooms, I crafted a few of the animal beds here. I have a bunch of yak pillows and some of the normal farm animal pillows here. And I was able to fit 2 yak pillows side by side in these longer areas. And then I could even put a few little goat pillows or something like that. And that is how I can divide up the little 10 block wide rooms here. And then this area, because we have this wall sort of bumping out into the room a little bit, it's exactly 9 blocks wide, which is perfect because that fits exactly 3 of these little pillows next to each other for the animals. And that was kind of my plan when dividing them up, because you will want some things to be a bit divided, especially if you're trying to breed specific animals in like a little section, because they'll just go claim whatever bed is closest. And so if I'm breeding like rabbits back here, I don't want them to be able to access other beds that I want to leave available for goats or other things. So that's kind of why I'm doing the dividing. I may even do like little windows in between the little columns. That could be pretty cool. And yeah, I'll figure that out when I do some more of the interior decorating. And then maybe out here could be a little doorway or something for just a side door onto the barn. Let's see, let me rotate it maybe like that. And then I could fill in right around the door there. And then right on the outsides here, I will put a fence or something to block them from being able to just come out, or a gate, or I don't know, but maybe this will be the main gate that the animals can get outside, as well as the front gate or something. But this way, each stall can have a way to the outside if I need to do that, and I'll kind of divide the other side up similarly, and have some overspill and little fences and things here in the middle if I need some extra room. But this should give me a good amount of room. So with that said, I'm going to take some time to continue laying out the interior here, placing some animal pillows, some fences, little straw patches. Another thing I can do to kind of add some interest here is to take my terrain block, and with the VUCA nesting material, we can kind of glitch it down into the floor by 1 block and sort of create some hay that blends into the animal beds. That could look really, really nice in some cases, and even kind of destroy some of these floor blocks and place the hay and maybe some farm soil or something to act like mud or something if I didn't keep a clean barn. But I think this is going to look really good. I like this layout a lot, and I could even add some decorative rafters, some chandeliers in the middle, and torches or something to light it up a bit more. But I think this will give me some nice adequate space. Another thing I was even thinking is maybe later on I could even add a little root cellar off the back of the barn here for some grain storage or something, just because we back up right into this hill, which could be kind of a cool idea to do. But yeah, with that said, I'm gonna spend some time on the interior, and then I'll get back with y'all in a bit to do a detailed walkthrough of some of my decisions and kind of how I came up with them and what I ended up doing for the interior. Alright, the barn is now finished, at least for the sake of this video. There's still a bit of work that needs to be done, but without further ado, let me take you on a detailed walkthrough of what I've got going so far. And starting with the exterior, which I think needs the most work, I've just kind of put some temporary things over here. Little tiny pen for the animals to roam around in that I will be expanding over time as I figure out what to do with the rest of this hillside and everything. Might do a little hobbit hole or something into the side of the hill right over here to sort of border the village there. Could be kind of nice. And then I love the new little decorative items we can place with the mountain biome update, being some carts and everything. So I've got some carts, the VUCA nesting material for some straw. Placed a little well outside just for some water, because of course the barn needs water, and just makes logical sense. And then I've got a little plow over here. And you can see there's a little goat. I can open up the side door right over here to let them out, and then they can graze around in here. They don't come out here very much unless I put some food in their little feeders over here. But just nice to have a little area outside for them to graze around in, and it's fenced in so that they can't walk out. And when you do fence in an area, make sure you don't have like hay right up against the fence, or they can just walk right up the hay and then right over the fence if you don't have a little bit of space around it. So that's something to keep in mind. I had some animals escaping. If the water trough, you can't walk up very easily, but you still can. So every now and then an animal gets out, but it's no big deal. And now for the interior. I am, well, first of all, I'll just do a little walk through around the outside. You guys have seen the outside though, but looks amazing. Interior is what I'm really, really happy with. It's just super, super cozy. Maybe a bit too cozy for a barn, but I really, really love how it turned out. Just look at how alive it feels. It's really amazing. I've just got a little poster board here, maybe for some of the rules of how to feed the animals or things, for if some farm hands come along to help. I've got some little pens in the corners that are sanctioned off for breeding different animals. So if I get some birds in here or some deer or something else. And then I've just kind of got the goats as well as the yaks just mingling throughout the rest of the barn right now, just because of the fact that they will only take their designated beds and they don't share beds with each other, which works out perfectly. Another little area back here that's kind of sectioned off, and I've got some little goats that make their way into here every now and then, but I'll have to, I think they make their way, yeah, right over this little block of terrain over the fence. So I've gotta do a few little touch-ups there, but it's working out, and I've got some nice space in here. Another cool thing, I used the ice terrain block to create some water. This yak is standing over the water. But yeah, some little water in their water trough there. I think that looks good. Just got their little feeders. I really like what I did with the chandeliers and used the roof block to create some little beams that sort of act as supports there. yeah, I just love what's going on in here. Super, super cozy. And to make it even more cozy, I have a little wood stove in the back, because why not keep the animals a little more toasty, especially if it's cold outside. This barn would be a cool one to do in the mountain biome as well. And a little tiny barn kitchen to wash your hands or whatever after you're handling the animals and everything. Little shelf there. And then the little pantry right back here with a crafting bench for some storage for milk and wool and feathers and whatever else I end up getting from the animals. So that there is the lower level. And if we head up the stairs here, I have the loft, which is also pretty rudimentary. It's definitely one of the less detailed builds I've done when it comes to the interior, but that's just the way barns are. They're definitely not as fancy. All I have up here is some stuff for the huntress, and I have the huntress right up here as of now, a drying rack to dry out some purple berries for the animal food, as well as the improved spinning wheel to spin some of the wool from the animals. And I just threw some of the rest of the stuff up here just to have a little spot for the huntress and process some of the other animal goodies and everything. And I may rearrange the loft around. What I really was going for with this barn was just a wide open floor plan that could be really easily customizable depending on whatever I want. You can see here a little baby yak. They do sometimes get up the stairs. And so I just add a little fence on each of the sides here just to sort of protect it and make sure they can't get out, because I can just easily jump it. And I've just got a little wheelbarrow over here, some crates for some seed storage or something, a little pile of hay, and little storage bins over here. I've got some straw and some more hay over here, and some cart storage, wagons. I just have a few beds over here for the NPCs once I get more villagers. And then I've got a little bed for the cat and a cat bowl here, and I don't know where the cat went off to, but figured you need a little cat roaming around in the loft of a barn to catch the mice. But yeah, I did a little rafter design up here with the roof block as well, and I think that turned out really, really nice. Some little skylights using the white luminescent block. And yeah, I just absolutely love what I've got going here. I am really, really happy with this little barn. And definitely stay tuned for some more streams and build videos, because there's quite a bit of work to be done. Like I said, I might do some little farm fields out here and the little hobbit hole, some more landscaping. I might add some little barrier walls along the hill. I cut out the hill just enough to sort of be able to get into the door over here, but I want to cut it out a little more, do like a little stone wall, and then a more official pathway and some more areas for the animals to be grazing. So definitely stay tuned. I think the big main builds of the Forest Village, I'll be doing videos like this one. And then the little in-between stuff, the landscaping, the details, I will be doing live, since some of you do like to see that. I might do some live streams of building mossy roofs, doing interior decorating and landscaping and everything like I said, so that could be kind of fun. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a simple, cozy, sweet little barn, but I think it turned out nice. Huge shout out again to all of my channel members. Be sure to join the Discord server through the link in the description. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.